All right, I'm back and gonna make another video with this, the Roland AIRA P-6 or AIRA P-6, whichever you call it. First video got some really good feedback from you guys. I'm happy you liked it. So I'm gonna do things a little bit differently today. I'm still going to sample into this. I'm still gonna sample into it from a guitar. I'm still gonna sample into it from a Gretsch guitar and from a gold Gretsch guitar. However, today you guys might notice it's not the acoustic, and it is the G5655T Center Block Junior, which, unlike my acoustic, does not have a preamp. So that's gonna create an issue when we're sampling into this. And for that purpose, today I've chosen to sample in using this. So we're gonna be coming out of the guitar into the Line 6 HX Stomp and then sampling into the Roland P-6. So that way we don't have to worry about preamps. And another thing we can do is, even though the P-6 has great effects and I like the way that they're implemented, we're still limited to one of those effects at a time, plus the send effects, which are the delay and reverb that are always active. But using the HX Stomp, I can get as many effects as I desire into that guitar signal chain. So we could create a weird funky sound. I don't know what I'm gonna create so far. I won't know until I turn on both of these things. And yeah, so we're gonna do that, create a simple drum pattern, and see what we can do. I think I have kind of a plan for how I'm gonna explore the P-6. I think we're gonna get all this guitar stuff out of the way, because a lot of the people who tune into this channel are people like myself who make music, playing instruments, but are interested in samplers, if only for the convenience of being able to play and record by yourself, or not having to set up drums, and just being able to be creative on the fly when you want to, maybe play shows by yourself like I've done with the assistance of the MPC One Plus and creating backing tracks using it. So I'm gonna do as much guitar related content with this thing as possible, because that seems to be a large section of people who've been watching this channel, and a lot of you guys have been watching it. The first P-6 video did really well. And from there I'm gonna move on to other things that I'm interested in personally, like resampling, which resampling is not something I've ever really had to use much, because the only samplers I've used are like Beatmaker 3 and the MPC One Plus. I mean, I have used Koala Sampler and the 1010 Music Black Box, but with those devices I was just creating kind of bare bones, simple electronic stuff. But yeah, we'll get to some resampling with this. So let's get into making that song. Okay, first off, we have a whole mess of cables here. Let's start off by letting you know what each of them is doing. This pink cable here is into the input of the Line 6 HX Stomp, and it's coming from my guitar. This 1/4-inch cable is actually this 8-inch has got a 1/4-inch adapter. It's coming out of the output of the Line 6 HX Stomp into the mix in on the Roland P-6. And then I've got another 1/8-inch cable coming out of the mix out and going into this little Soundcore Bluetooth speaker. Sounds like this. And that is the whole setup. So I'm going to find a guitar sound that I like, and then we're gonna sample it on into the P-6. Okay, so I got a patch that's based on a Jazz Chorus 120. It's got a, it's got a fuzz on it. There's an octaver that's not active. It's got a valve driver, which is what it sounds like. It's got a 70s chorus, and then it's got the Jazz Chorus's preamp, and it's got a tape echo and a spring reverb. Sounds like this. So let's see what it sounds like without that fuzz, because I'm not sure if I want to commit to that sound. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for it without the fuzz. So I'm in bank H on pad 6. I've already deleted the sample that was there, and I have the metronome on. We're at 90 BPM. Okay, so now we got that. I can hit keyboard. That was a B minor chord that I played earlier. So if you want, you can figure out the transposition of it. I'm not going to bother with it. Okay, so I'm gonna hit shift and last, and I'm gonna make this a 32 step sequence. Let's go down to, see, I'm at 32 now. I'm gonna hit exit. So we basically got 2 bars. I'm gonna hit record, and here we go. So now we have that, and I'm gonna go and find drums that I like. I gotta work as hard as I can to remember that I'm on bank H, sample 6. That's gonna come into play later. If you've seen the first video that I made, you'll understand. Okay, so in bank H, the same bank as my guitar sample, I found this little hi-hat thing. So I'm gonna record that. So. All right, I'm happy with it. And now, if you notice, this red light's on. That means I need to charge this thing. So I'm gonna plug it in to the USB-C. Orange light means that it's charging, but it's still low. Let's see, what other samples are in here? Stop. Nope, so let's go over to A. Use that kick. Want the kick? Yeah, I wanted it a little louder, so here we go. Let's find a snare. I do kind of like that ringing out open hat with the effects on it. So let's see if I can use it somewhere. I can, here we go. Works for me. Now, if you notice, I let it play out every time I hit play when I'm in record. And that's because, as far as I can tell, as far as I've looked into it, there's no count in for this thing. So you basically have to let one pass of your pattern length play through, and then when it starts over, start playing if you want some type of count in. That's the only way that I've figured out how to do it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a count in feature, but I didn't see it on any of. I watched Loopop's video. I watched Bo Beats' video. I watched Roland's official videos, and I didn't see anything about a count in. So I don't think there is one at this stage, but this is an easy workaround. So. Guess I could use a clap. I never really used clap. Yeah, let's go ahead and put in the clap. For me. Now we have to find ourselves a bass. So I think there was one on B that I liked. That'll work. Oops. I gotta turn that off. So I just inadvertently put myself into the step sequencing mode by hitting this. So if I were to hit this, it's just gonna put the sample on all those beats, and then to get rid of them, I just re-tap them, see how the lights go off. But if you want to record in the way that I'm going to do, I just hit play. So here we go. And now we got a bass in there. So I'm going to turn the overall volume down. Turn off record. I'm gonna turn the metronome off. Don't really need it anymore. Okay, metronome's off. I feel like I need something else. I don't know what. I haven't messed with the granular synth at all, and I don't plan on doing it in this video, but in the next video I will. Probably just record in like an individual note on the guitar, like maybe a C to keep it easy, and then mess with the granular synthesis. Granular synthesis, not something that I've ever messed with before, so. That ain't the one. Let's go back. It's so weird doing this when the notes are completely off. Like since the guitar chord that I recorded in was a B minor, but it starts on the regular C, and I have idea where I am. Thankfully, I learned to play by ear anyway, but let's try to do that. Page, I heard about the filter sweep, so I'm gonna mess around with some filter sweeping. So I'm just gonna mute everything. So right now I'm on bank E. I don't want to mute bank E, but I do want to mute bank A. So now let's took forever to find. If you're navigating and trying to figure out what to mute, you might want to have like a piece of paper with them written down, something like that, because for me it keeps being a problem. But I'm gonna go in and mess with the filter on this. With the filter is I hit shift, go over to sample edit, filter. Here there's a filter type, low pass filter, band pass filter, high pass filter. I think I'm gonna mess with the band pass filter, so I'm gonna hit play. That's the cutoff. Record that in. I'm gonna hit record and I'm gonna hit play, and we're just gonna and let's see how it sounds now. We're gonna exit. Now I'm gonna go into the mixer on the same instrument or same sample. So hold down shift, hit mixer, and let's add some. So this is the delay send. I'm gonna hit play and mess around with the delay. Now the reverb send. Now we got a really cool sound on that thing, and I'm gonna try to do the same thing with some of the drums. So let's go over here. Found my guitar, and my guitar is on 6, so I'm not gonna mess with the filter, but I am gonna add it to that delay send a little bit. So shift, delay, or actually I'm sorry, shift, there we go, mixer. I'm gonna go to the delay, hit enter, I'm gonna hit play. Okay, so now I'm on pan, and I'm going to pan from the, I'm gonna start in the center, but I'm actually gonna record pan automation for the guitar sample. So hit record, hit play, and here we go. So now I got some pan animation on there, and let's just muck around with it a little bit. So I'm gonna exit out of there, hit play, and just mess around with these effects a little bit. Here we go. Not gonna lie, that was an interesting one, struggle one. A bunch of the button combinations I forgot. Also, the mutes, I forgot exactly which group my or which bank my sounds were in. And so when I went in and tried to do those mutes, it was like pulling teeth. It was a struggle. So I would say this thing has a learning curve, but that doesn't take away from how much fun I had, and also just how much I love the ability to go in and sample my guitar like that. And I do think that the HX Stomp or any multi-effects guitar pedal like this goes really well with the P6, just because it gives you the ability to capture a guitar sound that you want into this and then not have to worry too much about the effects later, which I always like. I know a lot of people like to record dry guitar when they're like recording songs, but for me, a lot of the times I like to commit to a sound in the beginning. I feel like committing to a specific sound always makes me be more creative because I have an end in mind, so I'm recording with intention as opposed to just throwing things up against the wall. I'm enjoying this sampler. One thing that I will say is I might want to plug it up to a keyboard. Now the little keyboard that I have in here, it doesn't have any type of MIDI out. It's just MIDI over USB, which I don't think this is compatible with. I have to check. Maybe it is. I hope it is, but it's okay. I have an Arturia Keylab Essential and the little MIDI adapters to go into this. So maybe that's something I'll do when I mess with the granular synthesis on this device. The granular synthesis is just kind of an added bonus for me because it's not something I've ever messed with, not something I ever intended to mess with. I have a ton of synths and I can just kind of sample chords into this. And as somebody who's never really messed with this type of sampling before, you know, usually I record audio tracks of my guitar and build songs that way. It is kind of fun to do it this way, you know. I'm sure I'll get used to the implementation of the mutes and everything better. And, you know, once I get over, because I think what's holding me back with this as far as the mutes and everything is I'm still trying to save as many of the samples that came on this device as possible. And I don't know why I'm so tied to keeping those. Like there's some drum sounds that I like and there's a couple like keyboard sounds that I like, but for the most part they could all go and I could just load my own samples on there. I think once I get to the point where I'm willing to do that, it'll be easier for me to remember what's in each bank. And also I've got to dive deeper into the menu and look at how you select, like A and E for instance use the same button, and I wasn't exactly sure how to select that to mute it while I was playing back the track, so that led to some confusion. And also I chose drum sounds that were all in different banks, so when I wanted to go and mute all of the drums at the same time, bring them out in, I wasn't able to do it. I ended up settling for just muting the guitar sample a few times, but that was my own lack of planning. So what I will say I'm learning about this device is when you're recording something, when you're creating with it, you have to plan. Since it's so small, it does a lot of things, but it's very small form factor, which means there's a lot of button combinations that you have to remember. The shift button is great. I love how everything's labeled. It allows me to remember where things are. But because of the form factor, you do sacrifice certain things. Like for instance, with the Tascam Model 12, you know, everything is labeled where it is, but this device is, you know, 5-6 times the size of the P6. So obviously that's going to become an issue with the P6. But this, compared to the Teenage Engineering Medieval, it's easier for me to navigate. It's easier for me to use the effects. There aren't as many of the like punch-in style effects, but what is available, the delay, the MFX you can select from, the scatter and the pitch and filter, I can work with those, you know, me having only the 4, and then in the MFX you get a bunch. Like I think maybe you saw, like I went from a cassette effect to a chorus. That's enough for me. I don't need a million different punch-in effects, because, like, you know, I'm not going to be doing any DJ performances anytime soon anyway. But either way, it has a learning curve. It's still great. It's still tiny. I was surprised to see the red battery indicator light come on, because I didn't think I'd played it that much. But when I do think about it, I've had to have played it for at least 3 hours on that one charge. So yeah, I think the battery life is decent. It's not a very heavy unit, so I wouldn't expect it to last forever, but it does last a good amount of time. Like I think this was the 4th jam that I created on this thing, so making 4 jams on one battery charge is pretty good. I can't see a situation where I'm out in public using this thing for longer than that, you know? So I think this thing's great still, even despite the issues that I had with like muting and stuff like that. I think it's great. And I think I was just reaching a little far past where my ability is with it at the moment. But I do love the ability to record the automation, like recording that filter automation, recording the pan automation. There is an auto pan function in here, but it was kind of cool to just sweep it from left to right myself and try to time it. Like that's a whole lot of fun. So yeah, overall, still loving this thing. And I think I'm gonna mess with the granular synthesis in the next video. And if I get time to sit with this more, because I kind of got a lot going on right now, what I'll do is I'll perform this into the Tascam Porta 02 cassette 4-track, like I did with the Teenage Engineering Medieval. The guitar sampled into this thing sounded great, by the way. If you can find one, because I know like Sweetwater sold out and some other places have them for pre-order. If you can find one, I'd say get it. 219 bucks. It does all of this. It is a fun little toy, and at that price, I'm okay with it being a toy. I think you can't go wrong with it. I can't wait to do some like jamming along with it on guitar. I don't know why I haven't done that yet, but it's been a kind of a crazy few weeks for me. Been like sick and dealing with a bunch of stuff, but thanks for watching. By the way, if you're in LA on October 1st, I'll be playing with my band at Harvard and Stone, and also go into the description and check out my music. I have it linked. I always forget to plug that stuff. I need to do that in like every single video, but you live and you learn.